If you read the comments on many of my recent videos, it looks like there are a lot of ripoffs going on in the knife and bushcraft community. We're going to talk about that coming up on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so this is going to be a quick video, I hope. I just want to give you my quick take on a subject that's kind of got my attention, and that is that it seems like every time that I review anything or show anything that is kind of on the higher end of the price scale, invariably I get several comments saying that it's a ripoff. So let me just give you my take on that and tell you where I'm coming from on that, and we can talk about it in the comments. You can tell me if you disagree, or if it makes sense, or whatever to you. So first of all, let me back up and tell you a little backstory on this. One of the reasons I'm maybe so passionate about this is that I have my own company. In the real world, I'm a plumber, and I have a little plumbing company. Not huge, but I do mostly contract jobs. In other words, I don't go out and fix people's toilets a lot. I just go and I'll bid on doing a remodel or a commercial job or something like that. So basically, I give people a price up front, say this is what it's going to cost to do your job with, under these specifications. And I made a decision when I started the company that I want to be fair. I want to give people a good value, but I am not trying to be the lowest price guy in town. Because there's always somebody that'll try to do it cheaper, and that will, if you compete on that scale, I guess the point is that you're just, there comes a point at which you're not making any money. So the way I determine my pricing is not based on what somebody else is charging. I determine my pricing based on this are my costs. This is what it costs me to operate my business, and this is the profit that I need in order to make this worth my while to do this, and to support my family, and to keep the business open and in operation. And I think that's a key factor in pricing, that it takes a certain amount of money to run a business. So why is that relevant? The reason I'm saying that is, I'm trying not to ramble here, but so for example, one of the comments I get is, that's a ripoff. That thing costs $40 and there's only $3 worth of materials in it. I could do that in my garage for $4 or $5 or whatever. Any of those comments very well may be true. But it costs money to run a company. It costs money for workers' comp insurance, for liability insurance. It costs money to take care of your taxes. It costs money to market your goods. It costs money to distribute your goods. It just costs money that you may not have if you're making a one-off item in your garage. And there needs to be something in there for profit. Otherwise, why do it, right? The purpose of a business is to generate profit, okay? And if you have a business, you know what I mean. If you don't, I promise you, that's not greedy. That just means you need money to live. But the other part of it is, whenever I review something that's like kind of expensive or maybe on the higher end, I get so many people say, that's a ripoff, it's too much money. Well, here's the way I look at a ripoff. Ripoff to me indicates dishonesty and criminal activity. If you rip somebody off, that's like you stole something from them, right? So first of all, if there's a product that's available for a price, and you agree to pay a price for a product, then how did you get ripped off? Now, if they're not honest about what they're offering, if they say it is this and it's actually not, it's something less, then that's a ripoff. But if what you get is exactly what was promised, and you were willing to pay that money for it, then that's not a ripoff. And if you're not willing to pay the money, then don't pay it. Either way, you're not ripped off. Here's an example. This knife I just reviewed just the other day. This is a knife from Dave Canterbury's Pathfinder Knife Shop. This knife is $159 with no sheath, and this sheath is $30. They have a sheath that's like $20 or $10 or something, I don't know. So you're looking at $170, $180 for this knife. Can you buy a knife cheaper than this? Absolutely you can. Can you buy a better knife than this cheaper than this? I don't know, better's so relative, but you can buy a good knife cheaper than this. Can you buy a knife that costs more than this? Yes, you can. Is the quality and workmanship of this knife comparable to other knives in the price range? I think it is. Should you buy this knife? That's entirely up to you. If you don't choose to buy this knife, does that make it a ripoff? If it's more than you choose to spend on a knife, does that make it a ripoff? Or does it just make it something that's maybe a little more expensive than you want to spend? You can buy a Mercedes for 60 grand, you can buy a Chevrolet for 30 grand. Both of them will get you from point A to point B, but a lot of Mercedes get sold because a lot of people don't think it's a ripoff. They're willing to pay extra for whatever their perceived value is. And that's the bottom line. It's about perceived value. If you perceive the value in this knife to be worth you know, the $170 or $180, whatever it is, then it's worth it to you. So I'm starting to ramble and rant, and that's not what I mean to do. It's just, it's kind of frustrating to me that when people say something that is a ripoff, that's kind of like insulting and saying that somebody's being dishonest and less than ethical. When in reality, they're maybe pricing their goods so that they can make a reasonable, fair living profit. This is just an example. I don't know what Dave's cost is on this, but I do know that it's made in the USA. I also know that, at least for a USA business, there are workman's comp laws you got to comply with. There are labor laws you got to comply with. There are tax laws you got to comply with. There are reporting laws you got to comply with. There is distribution cost. There are marketing costs. There are utilities and labor and overhead and all kinds of business costs that you got to comply with before you put any in your pocket, is my point. So he could be making a killing on these knives. I'm not saying, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm just saying, I do know there are a lot of costs that you may not be aware of if you don't have your own business. Another example, real quick, is the Lightning Strike fire starter. This thing is 60 bucks, and it is a, you have to look at the video. It's a certain kind of fire starter. It uses a ferro rod. It's a pretty cool design. Is it cheap? Absolutely not. Is it a ripoff? Again, if somebody tells you up front, this is what something costs, this is what you're going to get for that money, and you make a decision to purchase it, then how is that a ripoff? And if you don't decide to purchase it, how did you get ripped off? I just don't get it. I'm sorry. Here's one more example, and I'll shut up. Just as example, because this was a recent video, I did a review of a pocket box, and it's like 60 bucks every other month for this box of stuff that you may or may not think is worth it, okay? So it's 30 bucks a month. But I guarantee that some of the people that think that's crazy expensive have no problem spending 30, 40, 50, 100 bucks a month on sodas or beer or cigarettes or junk food or whatever else they decide to spend their money on, or cable TV, or you pick it, okay? And they may think that's completely worth it. I personally might think that's not worth it, but I'm not going to say you're getting ripped off because you made a decision to do that. So, wow. Okay, let me see if I can just rein this in. Bottom line, there's been a lot of comments lately calling things ripoffs because they're more money than somebody wants to spend, and it just kind of stuck in my craw a little bit that as a business owner, obviously, I want to make a profit in my business, and whoever is making the stuff, whether it's a knife or a pocket box or a solar panel, whatever it is, probably they want to make a profit too, and they're all trying to feed their families like the rest of us. So, calling it a ripoff, I think, is just unfair, and I just thought I would try to put this out there, and maybe you can see where I'm coming from if I happen to disagree with you in a comment that you call something a ripoff. So, because my goal is, first of all, if I think it's a ripoff, I'm not going to show you, okay? If I show it on my channel, then you can pretty much assume that I don't think it's a ripoff, so we're not going to agree on that right off the bat. Anyway, I just kind of want to explain my position if I do wind up arguing with you in the comments. So, hope it's been helpful. As always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. Thanks for commenting, even if you call stuff a ripoff. Thanks for clicking that thumbs up, for sharing this video. And thank you so much for doing all your Amazon shopping on the Survival on Purpose links. I really appreciate your support. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. And don't get ripped off. It's not just, it's easy to say, okay, this got this much, so it's too much money, it's blah blah this and whatever. Is the quality and workmanship